All right, this is a continuation of the section 3.3 video, slope of a line. And so we talked before about how to find the slope if we are given a graph. We talked about how to find the slope if we are given an ordered pair, two ordered pairs. Now we're going to talk about how to find the slope if we have an equation. All right, so let's suppose we have an equation right here. So the first thing you're going to do is solve for y. It has to be y equals stuff. And then the slope is going to be the coefficient of the x term. So for example, if I had y is equal to 4x minus 8, then this number right here would give us our slope. Okay. So 3x, so this is in standard form right now, but we need to solve for y. So we have 3x plus 2y is equal to 9. We have to get the y by itself. So I'm going to subtract my 3x. Negative 3x. And divide by 2. Remember that while it's possible to divide the whole side by 2, in this particular instance, we actually want to divide each term by 2. That makes it easier to find the slope. So we're going to have negative 3 halves x plus 9 halves. So this number right here, the number in front of the, not the x itself, the number in front of the x is going to be our slope. Okay, parallel and perpendicular lines. If you guys recall, when we have parallel lines, so let me give you an example. I didn't draw that one very well, but you get the idea. So let's suppose these are two parallel lines. Notice they tilt exactly the same. They're both going up and to the right, and they have the same level of steepness. So these are parallel lines, but what we know about them, obviously that they're parallel, but what we know is that the slope of the first one has to equal the slope of the second one because they tilt exactly the same. On the other hand, if I have, let's try this again. Let's see if I can draw two perpendicular lines. Notice they do not tilt in the same way. They actually tilt in opposite directions. In fact, the slope is completely opposite. So the slope of the first one is actually the negative reciprocal of the slope of the second one. So they're opposites in, this is perpendicular, in two different ways. They have opposite sign and they're reciprocals. Okay, let's see. Two lines in a plane that never intersect, those are called parallel lines. We use slopes right here. We use slopes to tell whether two lines are parallel. Parallel lines always have equal slopes. Make sure you write that down. It's important and students forget it. This right here, this is important. Parallel lines have equal slopes. Perpendicular lines, on the other hand, they intersect at a 90-degree angle. This is confusing. Just remember that the parallel line, the slope of a parallel line, will have a negative reciprocal slope. So if my first line has a slope of 3/4, then my perpendicular line would be negative 4/3. 1/2 perpendicular line would be negative 2/1, which we would reduce to negative 2. Original line is -6. Perpendicular would have a slope of 1/6. Okay. All right. Copy this down. So we've got two parallel lines. Notice the slope of this first one is -1/2, and the slope of the second one is also -1/2. We have two perpendicular lines. The slope of the first one is -1/2. However, the slope of the second one is +2. So this is important, and students never remember it. I'm not sure why, but this is important. Make sure you write this down and do your best to remember it. Okay. Decide whether the lines are parallel, perpendicular, or neither one. The way we do that is find the slope. We've got to find the slope of this one. We have to find the slope of this one. So we're going to start with this one. 3x minus y is equal to 4. I need to subtract 3x. And divide by -1. So my slope of this one is going to be 3. Now I am going to hopefully change colors. Ink color, let's use a different color. I know it takes forever to do this. So now we have x plus 3y is equal to 9. Got to solve for y, so I'm going to subtract x. And divide by 3. Remember, this is equivalent to having a little -1 right there, so we usually write it as -1/3 x plus 3. So my slope of the second line is -1/3. So if I compare these two numbers, so this is my first slope and this is my second slope. So this has a slope of 3 and this has a slope that is a negative reciprocal of my original, which tells me that my two lines are perpendicular. And there you go. That is section 3.3, slope.